Can you hear me?
Hello, Scott. How are you doing?
Hello. Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for asking. What about you?
I'm doing well too, actually.
That's great. How is your day coming along?
It's going really well. What about yours? Any updates?
Yeah, no, I don't have any updates. Just, studying English, reading the news.
Can you
So,
see me?
yes, I can see you right now. It's much
Yeah.
better. So, Scott, as we were talking yesterday, so I'd like you to be my regular teacher here on Cambly. Especially because you speak Portuguese. So I think
Obrigado.
it can help me a lot to
Yeah.
develop my skills. And I'd like to speak as natural as possible because sometimes I feel like I say words, but those words are not. You can still understand me, but those are not the way speakers would say those things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So So I'd like to improve that. So you can correct me, please, anytime, if I say something you don't usually listen to it. So
Yeah.
that's it. And so how is this gonna work? Do you have a
Well,
program?
I can help you. The one thing you brought up is you want to sound more like a native speaker, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. So part of that is just through experience, really. And I can help you with phrases, the way you would say them in Portuguese, and the way we have the literal translation and then contextual translation about how we would actually say it, as you know, and and just simple things that not with me but with you that you can do, like watching American TV shows or listening to American podcasts so that you familiarize yourself. But you speak pretty well, so I think you probably do that already. Maybe. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I
Right.
do. I do that
Okay.
already.
But for example, there are things, I mean, just as we go along and talk, where in Portuguese, for example, you'd have a phrase like concurso público.
Yeah.
And then you might translate this literally like a public contest, but that's not how we use it in the United States.
How do you
So
say that?
So this kind of a prova would be like the civil service exam, is what we would say, to work for the government, right?
Yeah.
So
Civil
just an
service.
example. So if you put it into Google Translate, it will say public contest. But if you talk about what a concurso público is, it's more like a civil service exam. And I think this is the same idea that you're talking about, is becoming familiar with how people actually talk so that you can sound more natural. And I think just talking to each other and seeing a wide range of topics. Every topic is important. Some people think that some topics do not matter, but you already have a base, so every topic for you matters. You already have conversational English. Some people might say, like, oh, you don't need to talk about pirates, but you do. If you want to sound like a native speaker, you need to talk about pirates, or you need to talk about art, because a native speaker will know like what privateering means. They'll know what a carte blanche for the president means in politics. So now the other thing is, do not be afraid. Like if you want to do something random with me, that's great. Don't be afraid if you have all these different topics. I know sometimes teachers will say that's not important. I don't agree. I believe that every subject is important, especially now that you have a base. So one thing I think I want to do is focus on topics that you like, that are
Okay.
common and uncommon, so that we can develop those terms together. So if you like sports, we can talk about sports. If you like art from the Netherlands, we can talk about that. If you like talking about privateering and pirates, if you like talking about cinematography, if you like talking about anime or uh,
That's good.
Korean culture or Arabic art, like the sky is the limit, you know. So I really think that now, to sound like a native speaker, we need to practice together a wide variety of topics, and you can help me with that by finding topics that maybe you never talk about in English, or maybe I never talk about in Portuguese, you know?
That's good. I totally agree with you when you say that about talking about all sort of topics, especially because sometimes I feel like certain topics I'm more familiar with, but others sometimes I don't know what to say. I don't have, the amount of words that I need to express my idea completely. Do you know what I mean? And that's so interesting. I'd like to talk about everything: animals, hospital, pirates, movies, TV shows, and a lot of things. Yeah, I think that's because, I realized learning English, so we say the same things every day. So, wow, what did you do today? I went to, example, I went to work, I ate breakfast. So we say the same things all the time. So I think I have to be familiar with those normal things,
Yeah.
And that's cool. And, I have here a website. It's a great one. It has 200 texts in English. And I think those texts are great because we can read it. I can learn new vocabulary, and after that we can discuss it because it has so many topics, as we have just said. For example, a lot of things to talk about. So
That's a great idea. I love it. And there's one I wanted to show you too. I would definitely do that. And there's one I want to show you too. I don't know. Did I show you this podcast before? I forget. So this is a podcast that I like. And if you look at I like it because it's very well organized. But you can listen to the audio and read it. And this one, for example, is about architecture in Mexico City. And I am sure there's some new vocabulary for you, I'm guessing. But afterwards, after this class, I'd like to ask you to listen to it, read through it, and then next time we can talk about it. And the voice is in standard American radio English. So it'll also be good practice for your listening and for your reading. And if there are other things that you find interesting, you can search on this site. They have topics about lighthouses, about fires in San Francisco, about racism in New York, like all sorts of things. Spanish colonization in Peru. Wide range.
That's cool.
So, but I really like the one you sent me. Is there a specific lesson you want to go through on here with me right now? Was you thinking about one? But this aula de inglês grátis?
I'd like to start from the number one.
Estilo de vida?
Yeah, estilo de vida, exactly. And we can discuss it afterwards.
Okay, great. Let's do it now. You want to do it now?
Okay, let's get started.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm gonna read. Okay.
Yeah, can you read it in English, please?
Yeah, I'm gonna read it in English. Yeah, please. Okay, so lifestyle. One Monday afternoon, Mike, adopting a very unusual style, wore a hoodie. Nobody would ever think of wearing a hoodie on a very hot day. His friends also wondered why he was being weird. They became a little aloof with Mike that day. The next day, Mike wore a hoodie again, this time of a different color. This went on every day for a week, and his friends gradually got used to it. Finally, on the 8th day, Mike wore a plain white shirt, acting like nothing had been amiss for the past week. One of his friends asked him, "Are you finally done with your hoodie fashion?" "What hoodie fashion?" Mike asked. "Last week, every day, you kept on wearing a hoodie." And then Mike said, What? I was on vacation last week. I just got home this morning.
Yeah. So, okay. So in Brazil, is it unusual to wear a hoodie?
Hoodies.
Okay. Here it's associated
Okay.
with criminals.
Ah, okay, it's common to read a hoodie, but only during the cold days.
Yeah.
So wearing a hoodie, during hot days, it's not common. It's insane because Brazil it's so sunny during the hot days, and I don't know,
So this,
we would pass out if we wear a hoodie. What about there?
yeah, here
What
it's
do you wear?
normal because everyone has air conditioning. So
Air conditioning?
yeah, ar condicionado, I think. Creo.
Yeah.
So every American house has air conditioning. So if you're not working, usually the house is cold. So it's normal to wear a hoodie if you are if you have a break or if you have a day off, dia de folga. So it would be normal. So people would say here, if you're American, they would say, "Oh, you're wearing a hoodie." They would say, "Are you not working today, or are you going to rob a store?" Because it's associated with criminals here, you know,
Really?
because we put it up, you know. So
But what's the name of this
this is
part
a
of a
hood.
hoodie? Because
This is a
it's a
hood.
hood.
So that's why we say a hoodie, because you have a hood, and it's a hoodie.
uh,
So a hood is like in Portuguese. I'm trying to remember.
yeah, in
Capuz,
Portuguese it would say
I think.
capuz,
Oh,
capuz.
capuz,
Exactly.
capuz, capuz.
Yeah, capuz,
Yeah,
exactly. Because for example, hoodie, as the text said, for example, it's a moletom.
yeah,
Yeah, but we sometimes we don't wear the capuz,
yeah,
the hood.
yeah.
We don't have to sometimes.
So sometimes if people wear it here, people say, "Oh, will you rob a gas station?" Because that's the stereotype that you go in with a gun or something like that. You know,
That's
7-Eleven.
funny.
So, but here, this is kind of a cultural thing. Um, Sometimes Americans they won't say anything if they don't like your clothes. So this is sometimes Brazilians are more direct. Like sometimes Brazilians will say, "Why are you wearing that?" or "Why were you eating
Yeah.
in the street?" But an American, they'll think it, but sometimes they don't say anything. Well, it's good and it's bad because if somebody, it's bad if you are like, because one time I came home to my apartment and I thought I came home at 3 a.m. and one of my roommates scared me, so I yelled and I thought I was gonna die. And nobody came. Nobody cared. And I thought, I think in Brazil, people would be like, "What was that? Like, what happened?" But here, it's like, I'll just lock my door. Not my problem.
Yeah, and some people say in the United States, sometimes people stop you on the street and say, "Oh, I like your clothes. Oh, that's really
Yeah,
cool." Is that right? That's true?
yeah. Sometimes people will say it, but it doesn't mean that they like it. It's just sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But you're supposed to be nice. So you could say, "Oh,
Uh,
like I like your shirt," and then later they're like, "Yeah, that shirt was so ugly," or something like that. Or they say, "I like your shirt," and they say after, "Did you like his shirt?" Like, yeah, I really did like his shirt because in English countries, there's this idea that you're supposed to be like have small talk, you know,
I see.
to be
I understand.
polite, and so sometimes people will say like, "I like your shirt," and sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. Sometimes so it depends on the person,
Uh,
or they won't say anything.
uh,
Sometimes they don't care, don't say anything, but.
Besides the people being direct, what else did you notice in Brazil when you were here?
Brazilians are more open about the body, like they hug more, or like even at the beach, like Brazilians are just more open about the human body than Americans or English people. Because English people, we say, are very Victorian. term?
No, I don't
So
know
this,
it. What does that
so
mean?
this comes from, this is like conservative. But eu vou explicar em português. Vem da época da Rainha Victoria, na Inglaterra. Então, os países ingleses, alguém conservador fala, você é muito vitoriano. Tipo alguém da 1840, da época da Rainha Victoria. So somebody will say like, they're so Victorian. They don't like showing their body. They cover everything. So I think Brazilians are more accepting of the human body. And other thing too, like in Portuguese, you can say like, oh, gordinho, magrinho, and it's é normal, né? Mas em inglês é sempre suco, sabe? So the way that the human body is seen, I think in Brazil it's more healthy or more open, but is a major difference. Also, in Brazil, the United States, in my opinion, in English countries, time is more important than people. And in Brazil, people are more important than time. So if an American says you need to be here at 6, you need to be here at 6. And if the party ends at 8, you leave at 7:45.
Oh my gosh!
But in Brazil, it's like I'm an hour late, I leave 2 hours late.
How can I say that you guys are like certinhos?
You could be
like you guys respect the time.
Yeah, it would be. I'm trying to think of a way to say that in English for time. It would be like
punctual. I don't know, punctual.
Or you could say more strict, I guess. Certinho.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I didn't know whether it was
No
connected.
sentido geral é straight laced. O certinho não faz nada errado. Straight laced. But for time, I think it's punctual.
That's great. Punctuality, it's a great thing, because we Brazilians tend to to make an appointment, right, and show up late.
Yeah. So I had a Brazilian friend here. He went to a party. It started at 6, and he showed up at 8. And the party was like 6 to 8:30. He's like, "Why is everybody leaving?"
Yeah, but it's cultural. We don't think it's a bad thing. It's normal if we make an appointment for, I don't know, 7 p.m. So we usually show up at 7:30 because we are afraid of, arriving at the place too early. We don't want to be the first one.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, like, if you go to lunch and you take more than like 20 minutes, the person will leave. Like the American. So, so if you, like, se você atrasar 20, 30 minutos, às vezes a pessoa nem fica. Americano.
Oh, that's
So, but the idea in America, the idea is like you mark a time with me, so I make myself ready for it. So another difference is like in Brazil, sometimes you can show at somebody's house like by surprise, or somebody can show up at your house by surprise. But in the United States, you can't do that. You have
to let the people know.
Like I have to invite. You have to invite me, and I have to invite you. So, for example, my neighbor will say like, at Thursday at 4 p.m., are you free? And then I'll say, let me check my schedule. And I'll say, yeah, actually, maybe 4:30. Does that work for you? Like, yeah, 4:30 is great. So I'll see you 4:30. And then usually they'll give you like 5 to 10 minutes. It's okay to be late. Anything after 10 minutes is like, you took too long.
So you guys are so organized.
So,
but if you, for example, let's imagine if you don't invite me to go to your house, but I let you know first. Oh, I'm coming. So can I do that?
No,
or
they have to invite me.
No. Oh my God.
You can say you can come to my house, but you have to wait for them to invite you to their house. So I have neighbors that I've never been in their house because they never invited me. Really? Yeah, really. Oh. So I think this is a surprise for some Brazilians.
Yeah, but we have to get used to it, especially because it's a cultural difference.
But
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, we have to respect it.
yeah. But I think in Brazil, people are more open in some ways.
What do you like more as you have been in Brazil?
I like this. Socially, I prefer Brazil because it's easier to be friends. But here, like there's more law and order, and the economy is stronger. So
Yeah.
it's easier here to have like a nice house and a good job, but it's easier to have good friends in Brazil. So it's like, do you want a nice job or do you want friends? You know, it's like, so I think people are more cold, you know, but it is more organized, like you said. So in some ways it's reliable, but in Brazil, people are, because I lived in Recife, which is very open. And the people in Recife inviting me all the time. They hug a lot. We have dinner parties, and this is nice. And the beach is beautiful, and there's a lot of great music and activities. And so Brazil is a very, very great social scene. But the United States, in my opinion, has a more stable economy and justice system, because
Yeah.
in Recife, yeah, the government was very weak and corrupt, so that was kind of a problem. So it's kind of like
I'm sorry. I was going to say my girlfriend, she lives in Alagoas, the state of Alagoas, and it's near Recife.
Yeah. Did she say the same thing you said?
No, she hasn't ever been to Recife, but I was planning on going with her there. You know, when I visit her. I'm from São Paulo and she's from Alagoas, so we live far from each other.
Thousands of miles.
Yeah, thousands of miles. Yeah, exactly. But it's been working, and yeah, I've been learning so much from her. You know, having a distance relationship.
Yeah, long distance relationship.
Yeah, long distance. Long distance relationship. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We have 30 seconds.
I'm out of time.
Yeah.
But I liked the way we had that class.
Me too.
Class, right? It was.
And then you can read the link I sent you, and then next time we can talk about it. And Alagoas, your girlfriend too, since we don't have time. And we'll learn all sorts of vocabulary. And if you have topics you want, send them to me. Whatever you want, we could do it.
Thanks so much,
Thank you,
Scott. Have a great day.